We are now 5 wide. Presented by Quick Trip's quality gasoline guarantee. It's just another way Quick Trip has you covered.
9 to noon, ready to go. Billy and Kuhn are in studio and just chomping at the bit. So Dalvin Cook to the Jets. I'll ask you, boys, will it work? Has it ever worked? Define what works even means.
Did it ever work? Terrell Owens to the Eagles kind of worked.
Yeah, it did.
Okay.
I mean, Corey Dillon
Von
worked
Miller
out pretty
to the
well
Rams
in
worked.
New England, didn't he? For a number of years. I mean, Dalvin is going to play a certain amount, I think, here earlier in the season while they activate Breece Hall today off the PUP. He'll probably start with individual drills and such now. But I mean, he gives them another that position injury rate's 100%. And if you have one guy that you believe after Dalvin Cook, maybe say he gets banged up week 7 or 8, and you can hand it off to a dude who was going to be the rookie of the year offensively before he got hurt last year. Yeah, I mean, it seems to be a risk worth taking for New York.
You seem skeptical, Zabe.
He is. I'll
I
answer
just
it
don't
for him.
know. Yeah, go ahead.
No, you are. It's one of those things. You don't think
No.
this has worked. You don't think it's ever worked. I don't
I
agree.
think in football,
Well,
it's
that's why
hard
he
to just
said it,
buy
yeah.
a team. Trying to think of the
Well, that's
last
what he
bought team in the NFL that worked. You guys mentioned the Rams.
Yep.
The Rams are in a bad place right now because they bought a Super Bowl. Would you say the risk was worth it? Many do. Many say yes, absolutely. They won a Super Bowl 2 years ago,
Of
and
course, it's worth
here
it.
they go. Now they're shipping all their assets away and trying to reset. And some think it might even be a combination of Cooper Kupp, Matthew Stafford, Aaron Donald, 1, maybe 2, maybe. Oh, goodness gracious, could they start all over and trade all 3? I mean, they're in a bad spot right now, but they went all in and they bought themselves a Super Bowl.
And
And
that
it worked.
that to me is more of a purchase, guys, than this one is. Like the core group of the New York Jets is drafted by the New York Jets. I mean,
That's the difference.
if they got most of this with, Ahmad Gardner and Breece Hall last year and Garrett Wilson last year, Joe Douglas really turned Jamal Adams. If anything, he traded Jamal Adams in and said, can I get 2 other all pros and build out my entire team?
That was a great trade for them, no question.
And that's why, Zabe, that's why I think it's going to work, is it's not all buying in. This is one. They traded for Aaron, but realistically, like, they didn't give up a whole bunch. They gave up a couple of drafts, but not a whole, like, I mean, the
2
Rams
ones,
gave
you
up.
don't think 2 ones is a lot?
What did the
Now,
Rams
you
give
told
up?
me it wasn't 2 1s when I said 2 1s last week.
It's true, you did say that.
What did I
and
say?
Josh, you crucified me for saying it was 2 1s last week.
Yeah, because it's
Well, I'm assuming the 66% comes home.
Yeah, so that would make it 1-1 and a swap of ones.
right. We gave up our number 1 pick this year
Yeah,
for
one
their number 1
first-round
pick.
pick.
That's a swap. And then we're going to maybe get their number 1 pick in the upcoming draft, which would mean they didn't
Hold
get
on a second.
2.
Oh, I see.
It's
Oh,
one.
here we
It's a
go.
swap.
Goodness gracious.
Here we go.
How can things change so quickly? Oh, how the turntable.
No, I just
mean,
want to
the Ra-
refresh
I
my
mean,
memory.
Then they also
There's
got
like
a second in this
there's
year's
like a
draft.
fifth.
Yeah.
There's like a fifth SWAT. There's like there's some things in there. It was 2 seconds that could turn into a first, is what you were thinking, Zabe. I was thinking the same thing last week. I got crucified for it because they swapped the 15th for the 13th. They got a second this year, a second next year. That second turns into a first with 65%.
Boy, you're
So-
going super fast right now.
It's good, but it's
I
not
need
great.
it-
It's good, but it's
I
not
need
great.
you
Is
to
what it
slow
was.
it down like I'm hammered. And I need
Okay,
to just
you
like,
sound hammered.
absorb
There
it
was also like a
slowly.
fifth thrown in there somewhere along the line. I mean, it was an interesting deal.
Now, would you consider, John, because like that, the 13th for 15th is much more of a pick swap than, to me, what the 49ers did a couple of years ago with
Trey
the
Lance,
cat that
right?
they're going to end up having to cut, I'm guessing, here in a couple of weeks. When
Yeah,
they
how
went
about
up,
that?
I believe they went up from 30th to 3. Now, that to me feels more like you're acquiring a different first round pick, even though they did give Miami their pick that year's draft. They gave up 3 1s to go on up to number 3.
Yeah.
To go and get Trey Lance.
That's different.
Like, I would use that as a different differentiation than a couple of spots, and you guys don't get to get Broderick Jones.
All right. So a second and a first and a swap and a little nudgy swap, a two spot nudgy swap of up from 15 to 13. Okay. Well, whatever. I just don't think these buying guys, like when you saw that the news came down, what was your first reaction? Oh, well, of course.
Yeah,
Makes sense,
I think
right?
the Jets got better. The thing is, the Jets, it's all going to depend on their offensive line, right?
That's
Their
where the
deep-
trade needed to happen.
Their defensive line is strong. Their linebackers are good. Their secondary is really good. Their wide receivers are very capable with a young stud there in Wilson. Their running backs now are exceptional. Their tight ends, I guess, man. What's Aaron Rodgers? Well, he's who we always knew Aaron Rodgers to be. I don't think he's going to fall off the cliff. He might even be better without a broken thumb this year. But that offensive line, how much can Aaron Rodgers raise the level of that offensive line? Now, he's played with – there's been times where we've had guys injured, and he's played with very little people in front of him, very little. And he's been able to make it through those games. Is the talent around him enough to lift the play of that offensive line? That's the big question mark for the Jets this year. I think they're still a playoff team. I think they're easily a playoff team. And how far do they go? Well, that depends on how far Aaron can carry him.
If these joint practices now in the NFL are the most important thing going, why are we even still playing preseason games? For television's sake? To charge
money.
fans
For the
money?
young guys, for
revenue.
for all of it, for money, for the young guys. I mean, there's a multi-layered reason for why you do it. Yeah. The number one thing the preseason games are, no. The number one thing the preseason games are is they are a bargaining chip for more regular season games. That's what they are. Let's be honest.
Fair, yeah.
That's the number one. That's the number one thing they are. They are a bargaining chip for more regular season games.
It's a savings
why you play
bond.
'em.
A savings
is.
bond for new regular season
You're
games.
right.
Okay,
You're
we'll
holding
play
on to
5
that.
more years of 3, and then we can trade this one on in, and we can get our 18th game that we're
But
waiting for.
it's also an opportunity for all 32 teams to see the bait, the chum that's going to be in the water, the back end guys, the guys 50 to 90. And I say 50 to 90 because there will be a few guys that play towards the end of these preseason games that make the 53-man roster. But a lot of these guys are going to be on the street, and a lot of these guys teams will pick up from other teams and pluck them to their practice squad or pluck them to their active roster. So it still serves a great purpose. It still makes a decent amount of money. And its number one reason is it's a bargaining chip.
Okay.
Yeah, biggest
You
reason
buy
is
it
the
that-
cash.
Yeah,
I mean,
and then
as a
there's
season,
money.
as a former season ticket holder, and I shouldn't say former because my dad still has the tickets. They charge full price for all this.
Oh,
right?
absolutely.
They charge full price for everything in and around a preseason game. So as much as John is very much right that it is a bargaining trip for when they go to 18 games. The reason why we're still playing these games is because they're still going to get a large number of, even if you look at the Chicago Bears, I think they had maybe 15,000 people at that preseason game last weekend. Everybody who bought season tickets for the 55,000 plus, you're already buying that game, whether you can find somebody or not to take them for free. You're still giving them that cash that they're never going to relinquish.
Yeah. I'm just skeptical that they get so much out of these joint practices when they can't tackle to the ground and they're just setting up a play here and a play there. Seems like if you want to see how your guys are going to do in game situations, play them a quarter, accept the fact there might be an injury or two, and play full tackle football for a quarter
But the
and
difference
see how
is,
it goes with your best guys and our best guys.
But the difference with that is, even though they're not tackling to the ground, blocking is all still 100% real. On the outside, the physicality with the wide receivers and tight ends, with the D-backs and the linebackers is 100% real. And the actual schemes are a lot different than you see in preseason games. The Packers and the Bengals, they ran probably 15 to 25%, somewhere in that range of what they would actually run in a regular season game, because all 32 teams get that film. But of a practice film, only 2 teams get it. You only have to worry about the Patriots.
Now I get it. So
Yeah,
that's
so you're
one of the
actually
things. They
right.
don't want to put stuff. They don't
Yeah.
want to put stuff on tape on the preseason game because everyone gets it.
Yeah, they're going to
But the
come out here,
practice stays
and Bill
between the two
Belichick-
teams.
and Bill Belichick's going to mix some stuff up with his
Unless
big old
Belichick
defensive
steals it.
brain, and he's going to have something defensively for Jordan Love to trip him up. And they might even talk with Matt LaFleur, and Matt might even say, hey, we had some troubles at Kansas City 2 years ago with zero blitz. Can you show us
Can
a
you
couple
give
zero
us some of that?
blitz? Can I see how he reacts to zero blitz? Would you like to throw a couple wrinkles in here? And would you like us to do anything special? Do you want us to do a fumble rooski or something so you can prepare for? I mean, this is what happens. They talk about
What if
these
the
things.
other coach says, "Yeah, no, I'm not going to do that."
They
And
wouldn't
that'll
have
be
the
your 1 year
practices.
doing them.
And then they
You
wouldn't have
went
the
to-
joint
okay,
practices.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's part of the unwritten agreement.
Well, and I
They
think
also
that's
coaches will
talk
work
before
together.
preseason
That's-
games. They
yeah.
also talk before
Mhm.
preseason games and say, hey,
Okay.
we need to get some work on our punt team because we don't do a good job blocking 8-man fronts. Can you give us some 8-man fronts today?
But
Can you give us a couple 8-man fronts?
well, and John, isn't this is I think maybe a little bit more unique to it. Now I can't really remember how the relationship goes with Bill O'Brien when Houston came on up here and decapitated Jay Sternberger.
Sure did, yeah.
But
same, but go ahead.
a lot of times you want to have somebody that you have some familiarity with, right? Like obviously Matt LaFleur and Robert Saleh last year, they know they're going to be on the same page. Him and Zach Taylor, you know you're going to be on the same page. This year you're going somewhere that might be a little bit different with Belichick because they have not obviously coached
Well,
together
but-
there
but
before.
keep
Matt
this in
was
mind,
asked
too.
that yesterday.
Yeah,
He
keep
was
this
asked
in
that
mind-
question.
Keep this in mind too. When you do that, when you do it with somebody that you're unfamiliar with, you learn different processes.
For sure you do.
Yep. There was no doubt that Matt LaFleur's practice tempo and processes compared to Zach Taylor's, or I should say the Packers versus the Bengals, the Packers have an advantage. They're crisper, they're smoother, they're faster, they got a better tempo. And there's something to that. Bill Belichick's practice tempo, schedule, how he negotiates his practice field, Matt LaFleur might be able to take a trick or two away from that, might be able to learn from that as well and implement that.
Would it make sense to have a single practice partner in the NFL, a coach that you're like, we can work well together, or is it benefit to mix it up year to year?
Well, you're going to play each team at least once every 4 years, once every 3 years if it's within the conference. So you got to kind of keep that.
You would never
in mind.
do it with a team you're playing that year,
You
correct?
don't want to do it with a team you play in the regular season. No, you obviously you can't predict who you're going to play in the playoffs, but you'd never want to do it with a team from the regular season.
Is it ever done?
Oh, I'm sure it is. One year we played 3 games against the Arizona Cardinals, all in Arizona.
3.
Yeah,
Wow.
it just happened to play out like that. Had we done joint practices with them because they were on the West Coast and we didn't see them to the end of the year, that's a big possibility. We could have easily have done it, and then we would have had 3 trips plus practices. We could have played them up to 5 times that year.
Would you ever do it with a division opponent, a joint practice?
Never.
No.
Because
Well, number one, you're never going to play them in the preseason. They'll never put a divisional opponent as your preseason opponent.
Great
Ding.
point. Yeah. We can stop right there. That makes all
and
the
you
sense in
don't
the world.
biggest part.
you don't
You
want to
don't even need a
collaborate. You
second
don't want to
reason.
collaborate.
No.
You don't want to collaborate with your own division opponent.
That's why during the draft, when you've seen the Lions draft with Minnesota and within division, it was such a big deal. And we've seen more of that now with some of the newer GMs. But we remember when those trades went down, everyone's like, oh my gosh, they're trading within the division. I can't
Mhm.
believe we're seeing that.
Right.
And that's just the draft. Then imagine actually having a practice and
And
We're-
giving your tape
and
up.
giving
Yeah.
your tape.
Ooh.
Out. Like, I mean, yeah.
So you guys going to use that play against us in week 3?
That's going to be 4 on our
or
first 15.
are you
script.
going to
Is
use that when
cool?
we go to your place in week 14? Which one are you thinking?
What about a rival who's not in your division? A real blood rival out of the division.
Like the
Like the
Seahawks when
Niners.
Kuhn was
Would
playing?
we ever would we ever joint practice with a non-division blood rival?
Oh, that would have gotten dirty.
Yeah.
Here, here's,
Raiders,
Bad things are
49ers.
coming from that. Bad things are
Raiders,
coming.
49ers. No, I don't think you're going to see that. a
here's
whole
what I
lot.
want to know. How's it decided? Is this like when you're, picking a partner in gym class of like, hey, do you
It's
want
based
to
on the
you want to be a
preseason schedule
partner?
that
Is that
comes
when?
out.
But I'm
It's all pretty much a preseason.
So-
schedule. You give a cold
so it
call
doesn't
to a
matter.
coach, and you just say, "Hey, man, what do you think?"
Yeah, it doesn't matter what we want. It's or what the Packers want. It's what the NFL puts together in your preseason schedule.
So-
Then you got to go from there.
But now this is a question. The NFL dictates everyone's preseason schedule because I thought that they were partially
That's what I'm
aligned
saying.
with the teams.
They just pick the opponents. You get
Got
to pick
it.
The,
Okay.
The home team picks the day, and then they talk with the coaches on if they want to do joint practices.
That makes
but the opponents are picked by the NFL.
see, yeah, okay. So you don't get to pick the team.
Correct.
All right,
Okay.
sweet. All right, boys, what's on the show today?
Matt Schneidman for sure, and we found out something. Well, he was on the Pat McAfee show yesterday that
Yes, he was.
our listeners will probably enjoy learning a little bit more about our new teammate. obviously more about the Dalvin Cook thing. And fellas, it was all a lie. This big old story, this big, great, made-for-TV movie was all a lie, apparently.
Yeah,
talk about that.
maybe.
Says him.
Maybe.
Yeah, it's too bad.
I love
Always-
Zabe. I love Zabe. Zabe, you're in a good mood today. You are
Yeah,
in
seems
prime
like it.
Zabe form. I love it.
No, I mean, it's his side of the story. I mean, you've lived long enough to know there's your side, my side, and the gray truth somewhere in the middle. I don't know. He claims this. It's
He was in a
unfortunate.
good mood today. I don't know. He was in a good mood.
No,
was
he
a good
sounds
one.
in a great mood.
What?
I love it.
I'm
He's-
serious,
what do you
Zabe.
mean?
I'm
The
serious.
little clips coming out this morning on
We had
5
a good
Live,
show.
just phenomenal. It's great. I wish you could stay on with us.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Why he
Just pointing
can.
out.
He's got nothing to do. Zabe, just stay with him.
I've shoveled enough coal into the sports radio steam engine for today. It's your turn now. Shovel. Get that stuff in there.
Yeah, hand me that
Get
thing.
it mixed up. All right. Tag, you're it. 9 to noon is next. Have a good one, boys. Josh and Butchie, as always, great job. Thank you. And we'll see everyone tomorrow.
Time to go. Now tell me how you love it. You know you're at the top and all the heavens right above it. We own. It's young money.